Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword. Gene is off tonight, so I am doing solo duty, alone without a leader, for Monday, September 8th, 2025. I did do the crossword and didn't have too much difficulty with it. In fact, I was thinking I was going to break that magical 5-minute barrier. I didn't even come close because I had a small mistake that I had to hunt down. This crossword had a theme, and it was a fine Monday theme. Start with a revealer here. Polite rejection at a dance, or a hint to each half of the answers to the starred clues. And that was, I'm taken. And if you look at the starred clues, the first is 16 across. Pad in a makeup kit was powder puff. And you might take a powder, you might take a puff. That was the first clue. If you want to blame someone for that, by the way, blame Margaret Segal. This is actually a great crossword, and it is her 10th for the New York Times. The next clue in the theme was assignment on a plane, seat number. And sure enough, a seat might be taken, or a number might be taken. You might take a number if you're at a bakery, say. We also had 33 down, days off following October midterms, fall break. So you might take a fall, or you might take a break. We also had 10 across, bakery display piece, cake stand. You might take, or something might take the cake, and you might take a stand. So that was the themed portion of the crossword. It was cute. It wasn't too hard. Actually, it was a little on the subtle side, but I certainly appreciated it. The beginning part of the crossword was not too difficulty. For example, one across, like the proverbial period before a storm, was calm, managed well enough, which I hope you will say that I did after doing this podcast solo, coped. We also had 5 down, the minor league team, or the minor league club, rather, was a farm team. And we had the impossible for me to ever spell correctly, 3 down, Home Depot competitor, Lowes, Lowe's. Not to be confused, of course, with Menards, which is also not sponsoring this podcast. We keep hoping that someone will eventually. Again, most of these clues are engineered for crossword solvers who are just sort of getting their start, so we're not expecting things to be too difficult. For example, 10 across, animal that moos was a cow. Now, had this been a Saturday, they might have had the same clue, but there was no telling what the answer would have been. It would have been anything other than the letters C-O-W. We had 25 across, outstanding people. I thought it was going to be celebs for a bit. I thought maybe something like A-listers, but upon careful inspection of the number of available squares and the crosses, it turned out to be greats, which I thought was great. There were some interesting numerically related clues in today's grid. We had, for example, 29 across. The $7 million for 30 seconds during the Super Bowl, say, was ad rate. My, that seems like a lot of money, although there isn't a B in front. Most of the time I'm hearing numbers now, they're usually in the billions. Still, 7 million sounds like a lot. We had 58 across, examine which Elle Woods scored 179 in Legally Blonde for short, and that was LSAT. And it turns out that apparently the maximum you could get on the LSAT is 180, so 179 sounds pretty good. Speaking of numbers, we already discussed the 62 across, assignment on a plane was a seat number. We had some other numerically related clues. 31 down, 100% was all. We had 36 across, winner of 2008 and 2012 was Obama. That took me a bit to realize. It has been a while, 2008 and 2012. How time flies. We had one clue that I never would have gotten without the crosses. 35 down, hit on a vape pen is dab. I wonder if that goes along with the pad and a makeup kit, 16 across, powder puff. Possibly, possibly not. And then one clue that I couldn't help but get, 48 across, place for embarras, and that was tête, French for head. I liked 56 down, how they phrased Italian eruptor. That was Etna. And we had 59 down. We've seen this crossword this answer very recently. Editor's mark is stat. And that means when you're editing something, stet means actually to leave it in rather than delete it. Article of sports equipment that needs to be strung. 26 down was a racket. And another clue, sort of, I guess this is really in the sports realm, and it was 22 down. Slugger Judge was Aaron Judge. I'm sure Gene could quote stats and all the rest of it, but I'm just going to have to leave you with a name, Aaron Judge, and hope fervently that Aaron is the first name and Judge is the last name. I think that is it for today then, so thanks everyone for listening. Remember, we love feedback, crosswordpodcast at iCloud.com. Gene will hopefully be back tomorrow, and if so, we will have a splendid Triplet Tuesday segment. If not, we'll still be talking about the crossword. See you then.